Did you know that Cuba, a quaint Caribbean country, has the highest doctor-to-patient ratio in the world, astonishingly more than double that of the United States? An intriguing snippet of Cuba's healthcare prowess, wouldn't you agree? This is just the tip of the iceberg. Cuba, a country often shrouded in mystery, is brimming with surprising facts that are waiting to be unraveled. So are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery? Intrigued already? Let's delve deeper into the unknown Cuba. But wait, before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my crucial stuff. Comment, "I subscribe" below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. Let's get started. Starting the countdown at number 10, we have the internet scarcity in Cuba. In this age of digital revolution, where Wi-Fi is as essential as water in most parts of the world, in Cuba, internet is still a luxury. It's not that Cubans don't have access to the digital world, but the access is limited and expensive. Many Cuban homes do not have internet connectivity, and public Wi-Fi spots are the primary means of getting online, but even these are few and far between. And when you do find a spot, be prepared to shell out a pretty penny for it. This scarcity and high cost make the internet a precious commodity in Cuba, a stark contrast to how we perceive it in the rest of the world. So, if you ever find yourself in Cuba, don't be surprised if you have to go offline for a while. Can you imagine a day without your smartphone? At number 9, we debunk the myth surrounding Cuban cigars. Picture Cuba, and you're likely to conjure up images of locals puffing away on big, fat cigars. But the truth, not so much. It's a common misconception that all Cubans are cigar aficionados. In reality, the local consumption of cigars in Cuba is quite low. Why might this be? Well, for starters, cigars are a luxury item, and not something readily affordable for the average Cuban. And while cigars are indeed a significant part of Cuba's cultural identity and economic prosperity, they're predominantly produced for export, specifically targeting tourists and the international market. So, while you might find a local Cuban enjoying a cigar on a special occasion, it's not the everyday norm. The image of a Cuban leisurely smoking a cigar is more of a tourist attraction than a true reflection of daily life. Next time you see a Cuban cigar, remember it might just have been made for tourists. Number 8 takes us on a ride through time with Cuba's classic cars. Cuba, often seen as a time capsule, is home to an impressive fleet of vintage vehicles. But have you ever wondered why the streets of Havana are adorned with cars from the 50s and 60s? It's not just about aesthetics or a nostalgia for bygone eras. Following the Cuban Revolution in 1959, an embargo was imposed by the United States, making it near impossible to import new cars or parts. The Cubans, renowned for their resourcefulness, kept these old cars running with a mix of ingenuity and relentless determination. They've become skilled at improvising repairs and making do with what they have. These classic cars, a symbol of resilience and ingenuity, are more than just beautiful relics from the past. They tell a story of a nation's struggle and triumph over adversity. Time travel seems possible in Cuba, doesn't it? At number 7, we delve into Cuba's unique two-currency system. In this intriguing Caribbean island, two types of currencies coexist: the Cuban peso, or cup, and the Cuban convertible peso, or CUC. The former is used mainly by locals for everyday purchases, while the latter, tied to the US dollar, is typically used by tourists and for luxury items. This dual system has a profound impact on the economy and tourism. It creates a kind of financial disparity, as those who have access to CUCs, often through tourism, can afford goods and services that those with only shops cannot. For tourists, understanding this system is crucial. It's not uncommon to receive change in cups when you've paid in CUCs, but beware, one CUC is worth 25 times a cup. So when you're planning your Cuban adventure, remember, currency exchange in Cuba isn't as straightforward as you might think. Number 6 on our list highlights Cuba's impressive literacy rate. Now, let's dive a bit deeper into it. In the early 60s, the Cuban government initiated a nationwide literacy campaign, mobilizing teachers and students across the country. The goal? To eradicate illiteracy. And you might be surprised to learn that the campaign was a resounding success. In just 1 year, the literacy rate in Cuba skyrocketed from a modest 23% to an astounding 96%. Today, Cuba boasts one of the highest literacy rates in the world, standing at an impressive 99.8%. That's higher than many developed countries. The secret? A strong emphasis on education, with the country spending a significant portion of its GDP on schooling. The result is a well-educated populace where almost everyone can read and write, Education, it seems, is a top priority in Cuba. At number 5, we talk about fossil fuels, or the lack thereof in Cuba. Now, this might surprise you, but Cuba is on the fast track towards a greener future. The island nation is making major strides in reducing its dependency on fossil fuels and shifting towards renewable energy sources. Consider this. Cuba has taken significant steps to harness the power of the sun, wind, and biomass, aiming to generate a quarter of its energy from renewable sources by the end of the decade. This little Caribbean island is proving that size is no barrier to ambition when it comes to renewable energy. Not only is Cuba investing in renewable energy projects, it's also promoting energy efficiency and conservation. From solar panels on rooftops to wind farms along the coast, Cuba is embracing a sustainable future. So, while you might know Cuba for its classic cars and cigars, it's time to add renewable energy to that list. Cuba is setting an example for the world when it comes to renewable energy. Before we continue, can I beg a little favor? If you're liking what you're hearing, show us some love by pressing that like button. And hey, if you want to be in the loop for our fantastic upcoming videos, make sure to press subscribe and ring that bell so you're always in the know. Oh, and one more thing. Drop a quick "I subscribe" down in the comments, and I'll make sure to offer you a warm welcome to our amazing family. Alright, enough of that. Let's keep the conversation flowing. Number 4 on our list is Cuba's no advertising rule. Now picture this, a world without billboards, pop-ups, or commercials. Sound unreal? Not in Cuba. This Caribbean island has a unique rule that bans commercial advertising. Imagine walking down the street without being bombarded by flashy billboards or store windows screaming sales and discounts. In Cuba, only political and social messages are allowed to grace the public space. This absence of advertising clutter allows for a more serene and unobtrusive visual environment. It's like a breath of fresh air, isn't it? While it may seem strange to many, it significantly contributes to the country's unique cultural landscape. Instead of consumerism dictating the public discourse, it's the people, their stories, and their culture that take center stage. This no advertising rule is a testament to Cuba's commitment to resisting commercialization and maintaining its distinct cultural identity. A world without ads, only in Cuba. At number 3, we have a rather surprising fact: the Christmas ban in Cuba. Yes, you heard that right. For nearly 30 years, from 1969 until 1998, Christmas was officially banned in this Caribbean nation. This ban, you see, was not due to any religious oppression, but rather an economic strategy. The government wanted to ensure that the focus during December was on the sugar harvest, not holiday celebrations. Christmas was seen as a distraction that could hinder productivity. However, in 1998, the ban was lifted, thanks to Pope John Paul II's historic visit to the island. The Pope successfully requested that Christmas be recognized as a public holiday once again. Today, Christmas in Cuba is a vibrant affair with family gatherings, hearty meals, and festive decorations, although it's not as commercialized as in many other parts of the world. Imagine a December without Christmas cheer. Number 2 on our countdown is Cuba's obsession with baseball. Now, this is no mere hobby we're talking about. It's a national passion, a fervent love that sweeps across the island like a tropical storm. For generations, Cubans have been crafting their skills on dusty diamonds, dreaming of the roar of the crowd and the crack of the bat. Cuba's baseball mania isn't just confined to local pitches. The nation has made its mark on the international stage too. They've claimed a staggering 25 gold medals in the Baseball World Cup. Not to mention, many of their players have found fame and fortune in Major League Baseball. But it's not all about the glory. Baseball in Cuba is also a beautiful symbol of community spirit, a unifying thread that brings people together across all walks of life. So, the next time you think of the Caribbean nation, remember, in Cuba, baseball is not just a game, it's a way of life. And finally, at number 1, we have the unusual ice cream parlor. Now, when you think of Cuba, ice cream probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind, but it should. Coppelia, located in Havana, is not just an ice cream parlor, it's an institution. This isn't just about the wide variety of flavors, from the traditional vanilla and chocolate to the more exotic guava and mami. Coppelia is about the experience. With its unique spaceship-like architecture, it's a sight to behold. But what's even more astonishing are the queues. You'll find locals and tourists alike all patiently waiting their turn, sometimes for hours, just to get a taste of Coppelia's ice cream. It's a testament to the love Cubans have for this simple, sweet treat. It's a symbol of national pride, a meeting place, a spot for families to gather on a Sunday afternoon. Who knew ice cream could be so important in a country's culture?